Based on a novel of the same name, The Handmaid's Tale follows the story of a woman fighting to escape the Republic of Gilead, a totalitarian, patriarchal government where women are stripped of all power to make decisions for themselves. In this dystopian version of the United States, fertility is at its lowest due to toxic waste and pollution. This caused them to round up all the fertile women and declare them handmaids. The handmaids are assigned to commanders and their wives, who are people influential in the creation of Gilead. Handmaids are forced to act as surrogates and are considered property of the commanders. Before Gilead, Serena Waterford was an extreme religious activist. She also deeply believed and fought for people to return to old paleoconservative values. These values included being subject to your husband and that reproduction was a moral imperative.
Ability is there in Gilead.
Obeying your husband.
Serena practically wrote the book on the rules and values in Gilead. Some of the restrictions placed on women included reading, writing, abortion, freedom of speech, as well as being homosexual. Punishments for these said crimes were devastating and unjust. Serena didn't realize how her own rules would affect her until came time where she was directly affected by them. Now, Phyllis Schlafly also was an extreme believer of and activist for paleoconservative traditional values. She successfully campaigned against the Equal Rights Amendment by saying that equal rights for women and men would take away the privileges mothers and working women had in place. She also believed that there was a strict division of gender roles and decreed by the scripture. Gender is envisioned as a hierarchical ordering with God and Christ at the top, followed by men and then women at the bottom. Much like Serena, she believed that it is women's role to support men in their positions of higher authority through self-sacrifice. Again, being just like Serena, Schlafly was an extreme hypocrite, saying that to want a job outside of motherhood is selfish and sinful, while she herself is a lawyer, activist, and author. Serena and Phyllis are similar down to their very core, and that they are both very hypocritical.
Women anything which they haven't already got or have a way of getting. But on the other hand, it will take away from women some of the most important rights and benefits and exemptions we now have.
What would be an example of that?
Well, a great glaring example on which there's full agreement between both the proponents and the opponents is the matter of the draft. Women are exempt from the draft. Selective service says only young men of age 18 have to register. But the Equal Rights Amendment will positively make women subject to the draft and on an equal basis with men. Nor could you have a system whereby the women would get all the...
Fred Waterford is the husband of Serena Waterford. Prior to Gilead, he was a media consultant for his wife and marketed far-right religious groups. He is extremely influential in the creation of Gilead, as he was a member of a Christian extremist group that planned and executed an attack on the U.S. Capitol. This group believed that the infertility crisis and pollution crisis were God's response to the sins of women and men and the result of not following the old scripture. Fred and his co-conspirators put in place laws that would follow the scripture and put women in their place as the baby-making machines they were created to be. Brett Kavanaugh, like Fred Waterford, has a position of power. As a Supreme Court justice, he has the power to help women and put in place laws that help everyone. Not be a separation between the church and the state. Kavanaugh believes that birth control is an abortion-inducing drug and passed a law saying if employers object on religious or moral grounds, they will not be required to provide women with contraceptive coverage and employees can't sue for discrimination. That is a violation of civil rights. Fred Waterford and Brett Kavanaugh are similar in that they both use religion as means to provide themselves with power. Although The Handmaid's Tale is fictional, it shows how the oppression of women and the horrific lives of handmaids are constructed by the ignorance of people. Coups do not happen overnight. The process had to be started by people in high places, people like politicians or even well-respected celebrities. In The Handmaid's Tale, Serena Joy, a well-respected author and activist, was able to get people behind her and recruit them to their Christian extremist group, the Sons of Jacob. Fred Waterford promoted the values of the Sons of Jacob and was able to get people to sympathize with them. From there on out, they destroyed the democracy and created an entire republic without a scratch. People like Brett Kavanaugh and Phyllis Schlafly can easily do the same thing. With their mass following and high positions in power, Brett Kavanaugh can literally make new laws. It is important to be aware of what is going on in the world and use your right to vote so women will have the rights they deserve and not be oppressed like in The Handmaid's Tale.